Pathologic, developed by Ice Pick Lodge, is a mysterious game that explores the life of three characters, trying to survive 12 days in a town in the middle of a steppe enriched in ancient and obscure traditions. Even if any citizen of the city is also mysterious, hermetic, and cryptic, the real antagonist of Pathologic is a devastating disease, the sand plague. In the following article I will describe in details the mysterious plague and its evolution, also providing theories and explanations to understand its meaning. The terrible disease has a mysterious origin and an incredible bizarre behavior. Soon the peaceful city will become a huge outbreak of infection, with every day more districts afflicted by the plague. Crossing the infected districts will be very dangerous for the player, who should avoid contact with the disease and the infected people. Since there is not a cure for the sand plague, contracting the disease will make surviving the 12 days really challenging, becoming addicted to antibiotics and immune boosters just to stay alive. The most important objective during your stay in the mysterious town will be to understand and to cure the cryptic disease. With time, what it looks just an obscure disease, will take the shape of something more complex and malignant, something with a mind and a specific behavior, as it is also written in the intro of the game. During the days, the plague will change and evolve, becoming more lethal and difficult to avoid. The first stage, the filth on the walls. At the beginning, the disease strangely affects the houses, instead of the people. The building will start to rotten, with greasy stains on the external walls, similar to fleshy growths. These houses are called by the people the silent houses. Thanks to such peculiar activity, it is easy to quarantine the areas of the town affected by the plague, also knowing which family is marked for death by the illness. The infected building will soon turn in a mysterious hell. Mold and miasma will grow in the inside, transforming a domestic environment in an alien landscape. For mysterious reasons, the interior of the houses are in an unbelievable disorder, like if a tornado was created inside the building itself. All the furniture will be scattered around in a complete mess, without any logical explanation. The sick people will be lying in the floor for the pain, motionless. So what caused this alien mess? Could the pestilential whispers of the disease be so strong to affect inanimate objects? The second stage, the infected and the carriers. The behaviors of the infected people are really different. If some people will be just lying on the ground, motionless for the extreme pain, others would have a more peculiar behavior. At the first stage of the sickness, the infected will start to rave. They will feel an incredible hotness and will start to talk without a logic. For example, they will claim to listen the crying of a baby, intense and ominous. The most creepy thing is that it will be quite usual for the player to also listen the crying of an infant in the infected districts. This happens even if the character is not affected by the disease, like if the baby crying is a physical manifestation of the sand plague. This sickness is not a simple germ or a virus, but something more complex. After the nonsensical raving, the infected will crawl toward uninfected people, slowly trying to hug them. This stage is really creepy and disturbing, an abnormal behavior in the mind of the infected, which, as members of a hive, would try to help the disease to spread faster. The infected at the final stage of the disease would go around the street of the city completely covered, like ghosts, but always trying to slowly walk toward the healthy people to infect them. Also, rats are a determinant gear in the spreading mechanism of the sand plague. As relentless carriers, they hunt down uninfected people, passing them the disease by biting their ankles. The third stage, sentient miasma. If the bizarre host control mechanism, used by the disease to spread, is something that could be also found in some parasites, the next step in the evolution of the disease will definitely take a mystical path. The sand plague will get completely alive and sentient, able to take a form visible to people. The illness will manifest in the world as a cloud made of twisted faces. The sentient miasma can be both static and dynamic, rushing toward healthy people like a screaming ectoplasm of dead people. The sentient miasma is stronger inside the buildings, probably due to the sick molded environment. This evolution shows how the sand plague is a sentient being, an eldritch entity able not only to control people, but to take a physical form. In this way the sand plague can easily spread and kill on its own also outside the walls of the afflicted houses, without needing a host. The fourth stage, the angel of death. The ghastly cloud will continue to evolve toward the final manifestation of the plague, the angel of death. New brown clouds will appear in the city, only in the open spaces. The brown shapes clearly resemble a blurred angel, final stage of the apocalyptic disease. The angels of death are a totally sentient being, who would wait for a healthy person to pass by, before manifesting and attacking him/her. Not only the clouds are faster than the previous form, but they will actively follow the people, leaving less degree of freedom to escape from the infection. This last evolution of the sand plague is able to hunt for the few survivors in open spaces, infecting them faster and without escape ways. If people were able to survive to the slow movements of the previous spreading mechanisms, they have no chances against this fast, relentless and almost invisible form of infection. The sand plague reaches its final stage of evolution, a sentient angel of death spreading sickness and despair among humans. The origin of the sand plague is puzzling and mysterious, without a clear and direct explanation. However, this veil of uncertainty contributes to create the peculiar surreal and dreamlike atmosphere of Pathologic. I will try to explain now few details about the origin of the plague, also providing my personal interpretation. For this reason, it will be spoilers regarding the plot of Pathologic. After finishing the game with each character, there will be different explanations about what the sand plague truly is. During the Bachelor playthrough, the plague born to contrast the building of the polyhedron, a structure with an impossible physics supported by huge foundation going deeply in the ground. However, in the Haruspex playthrough, the fault of creating the plague is not on the polyhedron, but on another building connected with the meat production, the termitary, responsible of dumping blood directly in a hole going into the belly of the earth. The inhabitants of the town don't understand the origin of the plague, which is rooted in superstitions and traditions. The true meaning of the plague is hidden behind multiple theories, each of them more abstract and peculiar. Many citizens even believe in the existence of a mystical infector, the Shavnakatur, a female creature born from the earth to spread the disease among the humans. Well, this could be partially true since there are several bizarre creatures hidden in the cold steppe. But this is another story for another article. There is one thing that is in common between the many possible explanations: the earth, or more specifically the soil. In the folklore of the town, the earth is something holy that should not be violated. Respecting the ground, the environment, and the traditions is something deeply important for this isolated community. A fundamental rule of an independent microcosm. Recently, people are violating the holiness of the soil, breaking not only the traditions, but also damaging the environment. The abattoir and the termitary are relentlessly killing bulls with an industrial procedure, infecting the ground with blood and bones. The polyhedron raped the ground with its huge foundation, also altering the environment with its colossal shape, like a proper eco-monster, altering the natural landscape with its man-made shape. Both the environment and the traditions of the town microcosm are broken at the same time by the citizens themselves, which are not able to keep their vows. The sand plague is the answer of the earth to a call for help, a punishment for the broken traditions emerging from the deepness of the ground to annihilate the unclean. The disease is a folkloric immune system, a hive mind that is avenging what was destroyed or broken by human hands. The sand plague has a mind rooted in the traditions of the town, and is targeting people that, according to its judgment, deserve to die for their actions. Of course, there could be many other interpretations for what the plague truly is, since Pathologic is a really complex and hermetic game, especially taking in consideration the children of the town, the cryptic powers that be, and hints of metagaming. The answer to what is the sand plague could change. But this is another story for another time. Few games created an enemy so complex, mysterious, and ephemeral such as the sand plague in Pathologic, a sentient, symbolic and eldritch disease.